Their names.
Probably.
Okay.
Before you present, just say your name. So.
Okay.
Okay. I'm posting my email on the discussion board right now, so you'll be able to get it right for the peer review.
Awesome.
Do you need a second to get the peer review thing up before I start?
I have it up, so I'm good. But if
I'll just do it after the fact and take notes because I'm kind of jumping between computers here. I don't want to risk anything.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. So, you ready?
Yes.
Ready.
Okay, so I am Ryan Hyatt, and I'm going to go first with my speech. The summer after my junior year in high school, I was invited by faculty to attend a special week-long political camp called Girls' State. I was very interested in politics back then and was on my school's debate team, so I was prepared for an opportunity like this. The camp held mock elections for the state senate and house and other government positions. We elected a governor and even 2 U.S. senators who would have the opportunity to travel to Washington, D.C. and meet the president. I was elected to be a state senator and spent several days sitting in mock Senate sessions. At one point during the week, I was approached by one of the girls I had made friends with. She had wrote a bill and sought my signature so it could be moved from the committee to the general Senate session. Now, I am from Washington State. This is the state where marijuana is legal for recreational use, and the state that legalized gay marriage 3 years before it was legalized nationally. So, unsurprisingly, the bill I was presented with was a bill to legalize same-sex marriage. I was young and afraid of offending my new friend, so I signed the document. Soon afterwards, the bill was presented while in session, and after having time to think it over, I knew that I needed to say something. After some discussion, there was not one person in the room that opposed the bill, so I took the floor. I recommended that some provisions be added to the bill. The first idea that came to mind was to restrict those parents from adopting children. That idea was met with resistance, and ultimately the bill passed both the House and the Senate to be turned into law for purposes of our conference. However, the lesson that I learned was that in the issue of same-sex marriage, the children are one of the first concerns that come to my mind. Now, over 5 years later, same-sex marriage is legal across all of the states, and it isn't likely that that will change anytime soon. But my first thought is still for the children. One of the most disturbing parts of this issue is that children were not fully considered when making the decision to legalize same-sex marriage. The mindset of not considering children's needs in the same-sex issue is a mindset that carries into many of the families of same-sex couples. While demanding the right to be married, many also want the right to have children of their own, without considering what is in the best interest for the children. Children have their needs best met, and a father actively involved in their life. One of the other main ways that children have been affected by the Supreme Court decision is in schools. Research conducted after the 2015 Supreme Court decision regarding same-sex marriage showed that although the ruling did not change people's personal opinions of the issue, the ruling did change what people perceived social norms to be. So, making same-sex marriage legal everywhere led people to normalize the behavior in their perceptions. In the 1 year following that decision, there was a 33% increase in same-sex marriages in the United States, which equals almost 1 million adults in the United States in a same-sex marriage. When behavior is considered normal by the masses, it changes the way society perceives the issue, and that normalization will trickle into every part of society. Reflecting on what happened in Massachusetts, the first state to legalize same-sex marriage, is a good example of this impact in schools. Reports indicate how almost immediately educators wanted to advance sexual activism in the classroom. During an interview featured on NPR, an 8th grade teacher expressed her exuberance over her newfound freedom to describe homosexuality in the classroom. Her words were, "In my mind, I know that, okay, this is legal now. If someone wants to challenge me, I'll say, give me a break. It's legal." In another example, a first grade class in California took a field trip to their teacher's lesbian wedding for educational purposes. Confusing children with these experiences before they are ready to understand the implications is unfair to children and unfair to the parents who have to figure out how to answer their children's questions during the aftermath. Clearly, this threat is trickling into our society and our schools and impacting our children. While the proponents of same-sex marriage may have simply intended to give everyone equal rights and the ability to love who they choose, making same-sex marriage legal had ramifications beyond those immediate intended consequences. Homosexuality is malleable and subject to change due to external factors, like the environment that one is raised in. Children in school are taught to disregard gender and explore sexuality at an age where they are developmentally very impressionable. Teaching children about sexuality by saying that homosexuality is normal at that stage, without giving the parents the option of opting out, will feed the generation's view about the way the world is. As of 2010, there were 6 states that didn't allow parents any kind of opting out of sexual topics. Out of the states that did have the possibility of opting out, there was a wide range of how much was allowed to be opted out of, and what reasons would qualify to be able to opt out. There have also been numerous cases taken to court where their parents were simply not informed of the content that would be covered, and never given the option of opting out, even if they legally had that right in their state. The course of action that should be taken to ensure that children are able to be shielded from the impact of the 2015 Supreme Court decision will vary depending on individual states with their individual laws. But the recent changes in society have made it necessary to revisit the children's welfare and the parents' right to opt out. I encourage each state to ensure that children are thought of in the aftermath of legalizing same-sex marriage. If necessary, laws should be amended or created to protect children in the way they deserve. Thank you.
Yay! Sorry, my mic was muted, so you couldn't hear me typing, but that was so good.
Do you have any questions?
You know, I was thinking of one during, and then I will need to think about it again. I kind of have a question. So what do you think there would be a potential benefit of having same-sex marriage more open in the school system? Is there, like, basically, is there any possible benefit to it aside from religion?
I can see benefits for some children, particularly being open about that may encourage their children to not discriminate about children who are children of same-sex parents. That could be a possible benefit, but I think it just goes back to the rights of parents to be able to choose if they are ready for their child to be exposed to that or not. So there could be some benefits, but I think that the negatives outweigh the benefits.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know anyone that was raised by same-sex parents?
Me personally?
Personally? Yeah, just random question, but...
The only children I know who have same-sex parents are still, like, younger than 5.
Gotcha.
So it's a little too soon for them to tell me about them. Does anyone wonder which states don't have opt-out statutes?
Yes.
Do you know that?
I was prepared in case anyone asked. But if you ask, I'll tell you. Well, this data is as of 2010, so it's a little bit outdated. But as of then, it was Alaska, Delaware, Hawaii, Kentucky, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota were the states that didn't have an explicit opt-out statute. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you have no more questions, I think we're able to
Move on. Okay. Well, perfect. So I am Julie Harrison. I am the second speaker for today. My topic that I chose to discuss is religious freedom. And so religious freedom is a basic human right that gives our lives meaning and enables us to act, to think, and to express what we believe. It's more than just belief. You can't just manifest what you believe, and without you can't just believe. You have to manifest what you believe, or you lose meaning in that belief. It's also freedom of conscience, doing what you know to be true. It's the right to live our moral convictions freely in public, and allows diverse faiths and beliefs to coexist in the community. The United States was founded on this principle that it's God, or whoever we view as deity, is the source of our fundamental rights, not just the government. Our founding fathers, including the 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence, understood this principle and said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that we are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men." A second witness of this is the family, a proclamation to the world. It ends by saying, "We call upon responsible citizens and officers of governments everywhere to promote these measures designed to maintain and strengthen the family as the fundamental unit of society." And a third witness is the third article of faith, the 11th article of faith, which reads, "According to the dictates of our own conscience, and allow all men the same privilege, let them worship how, where, or what they may." We, as members of the church, greatly appreciate religious freedom. The pioneers traveled across the plains, enduring many hardships, just to find a place where they could worship freely. The pilgrims sailed across the ocean, leaving their homeland behind, and going through many hardships themselves to obtain religious freedom, and many other people throughout history have done the same. Religious freedom benefits society in many ways. First, and the largest, is that research shows that the more that religious freedom is protected, contention and confliction go down. Societies are more likely to be prosperous, harmonious, and stable, and the citizens are more generous, more friendly. Religious freedom, however, has not always been protected. It's continuing to be attacked and altered. People are seeing that science and hard proof is more important than spiritual matters, or things of another nature in that way. People are being told very negative things and called derogatory names, called bigots and other things, if they don't believe the same thing that they believe. It's restricting to our ability to raise our families, because our society is becoming this way, which is where our children are learning from. And so what can we do? What can we do to encourage religious freedom and to protect it? In regards to this topic, Elder Jeffrey R. Holland has said, quote, in the 21st century, we cannot flee any longer. We are going to have to fight for laws and circumstances and environments that allow the free exercise of religion and our franchise in it, end quote. We must first learn to work together to maintain our freedoms. No matter what our religion, we should be protecting each other's freedoms, discussing our views civilly and respectfully. If you want your religious beliefs to be protected and your right to do what you feel to be true, you need to defend the beliefs of others, even if they aren't the same. All people deserve to be heard. No one should be mocked, mistreated, or silenced for following their moral conscience. A society is only free if religious freedom is protected through efforts of individuals that make up that community. And second, and simply put, we must learn to be kind to one another. The way we treat others affects society as a whole. People see it, it changes their perspective. And as mentioned earlier, our children see it, and our children are learning how to act based on how we treat others. I work every day with people of multiple beliefs. One of the doctors and many of my coworkers are from different countries with different religious beliefs, and we all work well together. It's because we have learn to be kind to one another, that no matter what, we're all still human beings and we have the right to do the best that we can. And we see that in each other. To conclude, George Washington has said, "It should be the highest ambition of every American to extend his views beyond himself, to bear in mind that his conduct will not only affect himself, his country, and his immediate posterity, but that its influence may be coextensive with the world and stamp political happiness or misery on ages yet unborn," end quote. And so to end, I believe that religious freedom is something that we don't think about how greatly it affects other people, ourselves and our children and our family, but also society as a whole. And I thank you. Are there any questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
Do you know of any like countries or places that they aren't allowed to practice religion freely and the effects that it's had on them by chance?
I looked that up a little bit. It is tricky. Granted, we know some things for sure on the opposite side. We know that there's countries like China and like many Asian countries that don't allow religious freedom. Generally, most others, like Africa, I know they're pretty open and they allow people to do what they need. And South America, those countries are very open and liberal in the sense that they aren't persecuted when they believe what they want to believe. Something that stood out, though, as I was pondering about this is, like, even the United States has religious freedom in the sense that it's in our Constitution. It's kind of generally known that we can believe what we want to believe. It's more of the way that people react to it. Like when, I know just recently, about 2 weeks ago, we had Richard Spencer, who is a white nationalist, come to the city that I'm in. And it was interesting to see, granted, they were talking about freedom of speech, but it goes hand in hand with freedom of religion. There's a lot of people from India and are Islamic and Catholic, of course, and Baptist being here in the South. There's quite a few Mormons here. There's a lot of people of different religions, but we all get along because we see it that way. But long story short, there's a lot of people even in America who has freedom of religion. It's up in the air and people are still persecuted. Does that answer your question? I know it's kind of in a roundabout way.
No, yeah, that was great.
Thanks.
Do you know if there's any like laws in place to ensure that people do allow freedom of religion, like it says in the Constitution? Like you said, that people can still be persecuted for their beliefs, even though, I mean, constitutionally, we have freedom of religion. Do you know of any like particular laws or like cases that they have?
Not in specific, like where I could reference it, but I do know that unfortunately it does happen, and it's not caught every time that it happens. I've personally seen people that are being mocked because of their religion. But I feel like the United States could improve on making sure that those laws are put into place. I would definitely want to research that more and make sure that we have something to protect us so that if something were to happen, we can make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay. I am Devney Kaiser, and I will be the third presenter for this meeting. So to start out with, I just wanted to share a quick story about an anonymous person that I know. When they were 10 years old, they were just talking with their friends, and one of the people that was in the group started talking about something that had to do with pornography. And the person that was 10 years old didn't know what that was. So they went home and they searched pornography because they wanted to see what it was. When they searched it, obviously, horrible images and different things popped up. And that at 10 years old started a 10-year-long journey of a horrible addiction, because this person was scared to tell the parents what had happened, and they were very unsure what to do at such a young age. They didn't know how to handle so much emotion and problems within them. Pornography is something that has affected every family in some way, unfortunately. Pornography sites receive more regular traffic than Netflix, Amazon, and Twitter combined each month. Pornography is advertised as something that is to make others feel better and to help feel a sense of company when they are feeling alone. This is completely false advertisement and can lead to the destruction of marriages and families everywhere. Pornography is toxic and ruins any sort of physical attraction and families that when this is participated in. 35% of all internet downloads are porn related. The internet is a scary thing because you have access to wonderful and uplifting resources, but it also has the access to see horrible pictures and words that can be the start of a horrible addiction. For the effects on family, pornography not only affects the members of adults who are looking at it, but now because of easy access to internet, pornography is now geared towards children and young adults. Before they have any inkling of what a healthy sexual relationship is, they are exposed to graphic and sometimes violent pornographic images. 64% of young people ages 13 to 24 actively seek out pornography weekly or more often. The advertisements for pornography are geared towards younger people to make them see porn as a way to fit in and find love that won't break their heart. It is a way for them to get involved with others even though they may feel shy or disconnected from actual peers in their school. This is the worst thing that young people can see and read. Parents want to avoid the conversation about pornography because they don't want their children to know about the horrible side effects or to know what it is. But if parents don't talk about it with their children openly and confidently, then their children are going to go to other resources to find it, like the 10-year-old in my story, because he was too scared to go talk to his family. He had a 10-year-long addiction problem. Along with that, if children are involved, it can cause family issues because there's not an atmosphere of harmony in the home. When pornography is looked at, there is a feeling of and darkness in the home that can cause an atmosphere that is not inviting of anything that is good or righteous. Porn has increased marital infidelity by 300%. Pornography has a huge effect on families. When a parent engages in the activity of porn, it creates an environment in the home that not only affects the children involved, but also the relationship of the parents. Many people view it as cheating if their spouse is looking or involved with pornography. This causes a lot of self-doubt and insecurity that can cause a marriage to waver. The internet has caused an easy access for anyone and everyone to view pornography in some way. If someone in a family is using a mobile device or computer in the home to view pornography, it creates an atmosphere that is not uplifting or loving. Pornography is an addictive poison and can affect the children in the home as well as marital satisfaction within the home. No matter how deep into pornography you are, there's always a way out. But a lot of people are too scared to tell anyone that they have that addiction. When I was looking at, it was so hard for me to look at like laws about pornography because In my view, there isn't very many laws, but they do have one for child pornography, and that's the biggest one, is if, no one can look at child pornography. One thing that was really awesome to me is when I was searching, in Indonesia, pornography is illegal. It is 100% legal. You cannot look at it no matter how old you are, who you are, anything, because their culture is all about families and all about strengthening and keeping the family bond strong, and they feel like pornography ruins it and can affect children so much. And I love that. And so when I was looking at the US government, they've tried several ways to control it, but they haven't been able to find a successful way that anyone really wants them to. So for individuals, I think it's important to openly talk about it with your families and tell them about, especially children, the effects of it and what it can do. Talk to your spouse and, make sure that it's known of how addictive and horrible pornography can be for anyone. I was reading this thing and it said that someone, I can't remember his name, was trying to pass a law to monitor more of the internet downloads to see how much was pornography, to put a cap on the amount of pornography, but no one would vote for it because no one wanted there to be a cap on pornography, because it's a $52 billion industry and they don't want to lose out on that money. And so it was just sad for me to see that there's going to be so many children and families suffered from such a horrible thing, because people are greedy and they want the money and they want the nice material things, and they're going to destroy so many families doing it. I just wanted to share one thing that says, each one of us has been given the power to change our life. As part of the Lord's great plan of happiness, we have individual agency to make decisions. We can decide to do better and be better. We can all do better, and it starts with making the best decisions now, and it's all about action. We have to make sure that we do not shy away from the uncomfortable situations. And we have to stay clean and choose not to partake of pornography. And that is my speech. Any questions?
I have a question. So you said was it Indonesia that
Yes.
pornography was illegal? What did you find about the effects that had on the family? Like, did they find evidence that it did make the family stronger?
So I know, I'm so mad because I read about this when I was studying it, and then I closed out of my browser, and now I can't find the exact article I was reading, so it really frustrates me. But from what I read, they banned it because they view family, like their culture is very big on family, and so they made it illegal, and they've seen that it's just amazing. They don't have that. That's where a lot of the things said that in their home, they always feel happy because they never feel that darkness around them. And they've noticed that there is less divorce rates and less child depression. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. And my question is kind of a follow-up to that, is do you think we'd ever be able to successfully overcome it as Indonesia did?
Oh man, I wish, but from everything that I read on the government thing, there was one guy that I read just about his just trying to get something to even just monitor and put a cap on how much is downloaded on the internet, and he wouldn't get anyone to want to like it because it's such a big industry for money. It's $52 billion industry that no one wants to give that away because they're just so invested in all the money, and they just can't see that, if it's affecting someone else's life, that's okay because they're getting the gain from it. So
yeah,
I hope so, but unfortunately, because of how much money it's making, unless something really changed drastically with that, I don't think that anything's ever going to change unless it's slowly and surely by small and simple steps.
Yeah.
Which makes me sad.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Good.
Yeah. I always feel so down talking about that. Let me tell you all these wonderful statistics on pornography.
and how this world is going downhill quickly.
Right.
Well, hey, I mean, that's the reason we have to talk about it, because
Exactly.
all it takes for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing. So we have to face up to the bad things so that we can make a difference. Anyway, okay.
I liked that. That was good.
You know, encouraging thoughts. Advocacy. Yay.
Yeah.
It really means we have to work harder to overcome pornography.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, okay, I'm gonna go. Unless anyone else has anything else to say, I'm gonna go off live. Is that okay?
Yes.
I think that was
Okay.
everything we needed to say.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know if I hit stop broadcast if it's gonna change, if it's gonna like end the whole video. So if it does, good night and I'm sorry. We'll see.